I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
There's dear mama.
Got to turn my cell phone down. Get that done. All righty. We'll look for, call the meeting to order, and we'll look for approval of the agenda.
Any additions or corrections?
None for me.
For motion to approve. Second.
First, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of the minutes from last week.
I read through them, I didn't
Oh, I'm
see
sorry, I wasn't here.
anything. I'll make a motion to approve as
I'll
printed.
second.
Okay, we have a first and a second on the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, general public concerns. Got a lot of people here, but nobody from the general public. So, no one's on Zoom. We will move on to Alyssa.
Okay, I have packets for you guys again, and I will make this short. I apologize for those that have to sit through this in the audience.
Thank you.
And is it all right if I leave one
Yep.
for Eric and then, okay. So this is just a quick summary. If you guys remember, this is an odd year. We do full reports in even years. So this is just a snapshot report of the last 12 months. And so you should have in your packets our request letter. We aren't requesting anything more this year. It's been a difficult year, and so we're trying to keep our funding request levels the same. So that's what you see on the left side. Past that is a list of our board of directors, and so you have that as well. And then past that is our budget. But what I would really like to focus on for today is primarily the right side of the package, which you have this nice little bubble, and then behind it, a nice little forward-thinking arrow. And so what I really want to talk about is what we did in the last year. You're representative on our board with Rick, and he has served for quite some time, so I'm certain that he can answer any questions that you guys may have. But what we really want to, what's that?
Just don't make them too difficult.
What we really wanted to just share with you is that we have seen, and I know that I've talked to Cindy a couple times, workforce will continue to be our biggest struggle. But outside of that, we really have seen good resiliency from our business community. We really have. Some are struggling more than others. Supply chain is going to be another issue that we see for quite some time. But we're seeing some resiliency that we wanted to see coming, hopefully, out of this. So, as we look at 2021, we have had a number of success. I've been up here before, you know, some of the projects that we've done, that we've partnered together on, food pantry, things like that. But if you look around this circle, it really does and is only possible through our collaboration. I think Bruce can attest to that, just with the food pantry alone. So, we have got a number of quality of life initiatives. We have recognized and will continue to, that we can definitely set ourselves apart by our quality of life. We do have 3 current and active expansion projects, so we look for those probably not by the end of the calendar year to be closed, but hopefully shortly thereafter. We did acquire, Sandy attended our hearings. We did purchase 135 acres, commonly known as the former Jorgensen property, and we are working through planning that as the Three Rivers Industrial Park. The Humboldt Business Park, we are full at the Northwest Industrial Park. The Humboldt Business Park is great and has great land access, but we do have monitoring wells. It is a brownfield, and so it's difficult to put large projects out there because you can't build over the lot lines without infringing on some of those monitoring wells. So, This will
certain
be-
industries work well and some.
Yeah, and, we really wanted to reserve, when we purchased that land initially, we wanted to reserve those front lots for commercial that needed that highway access, and so when you take those out, we just have a few left, so. We are working, and more information on this to come. We are working through our regional economic development group on town attraction. It's costing us about $45,000 in the first year. We've all partnered together to do that. Workforce is a huge issue. It really, really is. As you can see, some businesses have adjusted their hours because they can't find people, and they'd like to work a second shift but can't. And so we are doing a regional talent attraction campaign. We've hired Macklin out of Des Moines to assist us with that. So we're excited to see where that goes. And then I'm sure that Rick also sits on building trades, but we've done some really successful work in our partnership with Humboldt County Housing. We have 2 homes being constructed now. We still have some work that we need to do on some empty lots that we have. And BP19 sold Friday, so that closed. And so we're working on BP20. So, and then the last thing I wanted to mention, which is the second sheet that you see, we are, as Rick hinted, going through such an exhilarating strategic planning period. And so we're really looking at, as an organization, how can we pivot? How can we make sure that we're collaborating and working together, not only with other organizations in Humboldt County, but with regional partners to make sure that we're leveraging our assets. And so we are working through that process. That's the second sheet that you see, and we are on the middle step. So we are about halfway through that process. The board meets in December. We'll review our final strategic plan, and then we'll move on to make sure that we do just as I said and compare what we believe to be strong strategic priorities against what our neighbors may be doing in the environment and culture. And then I wanted to provide our organizational statistics. That is really how we measure our success. There are some intangible benefits, undeniably, through the work that we do, but that's hard to quantify. And so we have, for the last 12 years, quantified our success in terms of taxable valuation and capital injection. 12 years ago, when I started, we also calculated job growth. And that was job growth that we directly participated in. So somehow we had to touch that project for us to count that. Not so important anymore. We don't have the workforce, it's a population issue. So we have deprioritized that. What that means is that we still ask them to certify jobs. We just have a less aggressive approach at making sure that job count is high with automation, with creativity on workforce, and bringing back some of that untapped talent. We just can't use that as a measurement. It's too hard for industry. So the capital injection, the amount of money they put into the county in addition to the taxable valuation, which affects everyone's bottom line, is what we really focus on. So you see that not only we track it in 5-year increments and then overall, and so cumulative is the last 12 years, and then you have 16 through 21 as a snapshot for the last 5 years. So as you can tell, significant growth. Continue to grow, continue to add valuation and capital injection. But I've talked enough, and you certainly know what we do, so I would love your questions, comments, thoughts, suggestions, etc., as we march forward. And it's perfect timing, right in the middle of strategic planning.
So you said in December you're going to meet with the board for your future plans and kind of figure out what you're going to do?
Yeah, so they selected, if you will, strategic priorities that they believe were valuable, and have aggregated that. So they have not seen the aggregate data yet. So I can tell you workforce, business retention, business recruitment, quality of life, and housing were the top choices. And so then what we'll do is identify action items below each of those. They did select some action items. Some of them are fairly aggressive, and so we'll need to look at that as an overall plan now that all of the buckets are kind of decided, and then delegate that hopefully in December. And then from there, we'll march forward on that next step, which is really making sure that what we decided to do matches with the landscape, if that makes sense. And so we'll make sure we did some, like a SWOT analysis, they call it PESTLE, but
Mhm.
And so we'll look at some of that stuff and make sure that it aligns, and then we'll march forward from there.
Will you come back and kind of give us an update on that as we know, so we kind of know what's going on and if anybody asks or things
And
like
I can
that?
actually give you a final plan if you're that interested.
Mhm.
It's only like 5 pages, but if you'd like to have it.
I think it'd be a good thing for all of us to have, so we kind of know where Humboldt County's moving forward.
Absolutely, I'm happy to do that. Yep.
Okay.
Might be January.
Yep, no, that's not, I mean, just so, you know, it's just nice to kind of know that kind of information
Absolutely.
and kind of where we're going and how we move forward.
I'm
and
happy to.
if there's something we can do to help too, and...
Yeah, absolutely. Or if you see something on there that you say, hey, what about this, or have you thought about this? I mean, we have a fantastic board, so
Mhm.
we're certainly not everything to everyone. So if we've
Right.
missed something, let us know. There's certainly something we can try to make an impact
Okay.
on.
Well, for those of us that leave town early in the morning, you still see the number of vehicles that are coming this direction. So,
That's good.
as opposed to, I used to go to Fort Dodge,
Yeah, absolutely.
and there was a lot of cars going that way, but there's still a lot of vehicles coming in. So I know that there, other counties are like us. Some of ours go to other counties to work, but
And
we
I can share that
also...
with you also. Our 2021 labor shed information is being finalized right now, and that is extremely important to us. That shows that in commuting and out commuting. It also shows us where maybe we could be a little bit stronger. So for example, if we have a lot out commuting, that tells us that our housing is strong, and that they're choosing to live here, but there's jobs for those people here. So we do use that data to try to, if they're living here, keep them here. And if they're coming here for work, there must be a great opportunity that they're driving for, so we have great housing. So just making sure that our messaging matches. But unfortunately, the state was a little bit delayed on that, all things considered. So
Mhm.
hopefully by the end of the year, we should have our labor shed.
I have talked to some of them, and they said, you know, between a spouse that works at another town, and then their kids got caught in a different school district, so one of them has to drive.
Yeah,
So
so
that's-
one thing we talked about is a workforce solution, and I'm sorry, no one else cares about this, but one thing that we talked about is family recruiting. So it previously used to be, I want you, Joe Q. worker, and so how do I recruit you? You need to make $20 an hour, okay, I'll pay you $20.50. Then you need this healthcare, okay, yep, we have that healthcare. But we're forgetting about the rest of the family, and that helps from a workforce standpoint, right? So like if I'm competing with Joe Q. worker and so is Pocahontas, can we recruit the whole family? Can we make
Yeah,
sure
find a
the
place
kids have
for
met
the
their
spouse.
teachers and they've gone through the school district and they feel comfortable? And can we make sure, what does your spouse do if you have a spouse? Even if it's a live-in significant other, what do they do? How can we help? There are plenty of jobs for everyone here. So that's one thing we talked about in the regional talent attraction is how do we do family recruitment? How do we get the
Mhm.
whole family
Right.
here?
Yep.
And so I think that would make a huge difference, I really do. And I shared that actually with one local employer that was struggling. He has an employee that lives actually in Britt. And so he's like, gosh, I'd really like to have him in town. That's a jaunt, you know, every morning. And it's like, you know, but I don't know what I can do for him, you know, and it's like, well, does he have a spouse? Well, yeah, he's a living girlfriend. There's plenty of jobs here, so what does she do?
Right.
So, you know, just making sure that we have that holistic approach, because we haven't done that in the past.
Right.
It's really just been Joe Q. worker. And so I think that that's a different element that we can capitalize on. And even if spouse doesn't work, how do we get them involved in community and church and volunteering and whatever it is they're passionate about? So I think that'll be an important element. But we'll look at that first.
Well, unfortunately, we aren't the only community that has the same issues, that,
Right,
you
yeah,
know,
right.
and people are looking for jobs that
That's
pay
right.
better, and
Mhm.
so,
If we could do a little better than the other communities, that...
Yeah, and you know, we have our quality of life, our crime, our housing, I mean, we do stand out in comparison to some of our neighbors. And so I think we just need to do, and I've said this, we've said it at HCA, we're terrible at shooting our own horn.
Mhm.
But why aren't we sharing that message? Not in a I'm better than you way, but in a, hey, did you know
No.
we have these
Mhm.
great things? And so we've talked about that. We need, one of the items under quality of life is to better promote our assets.
Yeah.
They're already here.
Mhm.
I mean, so we need to figure out ways that we can do that, and that's an action item that will emerge, that we've seen. News to you, I apologize, but, that we've seen, we just need to say that we have it. It's already here, you know, and so just making sure we're sharing that message, I think think we do such a good job within our own walls and sometimes forget to share that we have those things for folks to...
Well, people are searching for that. I mean, where can I go and move to? They're sick of the big city.
Absolutely.
You know,
100%.
they want to move
We
to
have some
smaller.
rentals, and we had a family come from South Carolina, got out of the big city.
Mhm.
We just ran into a guy out of Minneapolis, getting out of the big city.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he had a job here, but then when he told his boss he was leaving, the boss upped his salary and he changed his route. He's a truck driver, so now he does the Iowa route, so he...
Yeah, because we're all struggling. It isn't just a Humboldt thing.
No,
It's an Iowa thing. It's actually a nationwide thing, right?
Boss
So,
found out he was leaving, he says, well, what can I do to keep you? And
Yeah.
he says he switched his route to Iowa so he could live in Humboldt and keep his employee.
but, you know, we've seen another thing that we need to focus on is we've lost a lot of women in the workforce through the pandemic. And so if that's their choice, that's fantastic. Then, we have jobs for the other half of the family, and there's great quality of life amenities here. And so if they want to stay home, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
How do we help them see that they can do that here? And so, we're also seeing a lot that don't want to return to the workplace from a physical standpoint. And so, how do we showcase that we have high-speed internet here and that we have amenities and that you can live in Humboldt and work in California? So,
Right.
we'll share some of that messaging from the workforce standpoint as well.
Get on good, what do they call it, internet search engines to be able to, for people who are searching?
Yeah, actually, the hot, it's Zoomtown.
Oh, is that what it is?
You can live here and zoom your way through work, but yeah.
Well, we appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you have any
Put your numbers in our budget and...
Yeah, you know where to find me, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
All right, we'll go down the list here. We got the approve and place on file Veterans Affairs Quarterly Report, ending September 30th.
Nothing going on in there,
Like a bar graph he puts at the end, which is...
Dave, that you know of?
No, we did have one funeral that throwed us out of budget for a while, but we do budget for funerals, so.
Well, with that being said, I'll make the motion to accept.
I'll second it.
We have a first and a second, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Approve the amendment to the 28E agreement for electronic services systems. The 28E agreement that governs the county land record information system, better known as Iowa Land Records, and I imagine that's why you're here, Diane.
Andy asked me if I talk, I don't know if you guys listened to any webinar, but it probably would have put you to sleep if you did. The original 28E agreement is from 2005, which is 16 years old, and I have a copy of it if you wanted to compare it side by side, but this amendment was recommended by the state auditor. It was approved by the House and the Senate in the last legislation session. It has the approval of the Iowa County Recorders Association and ISAC. I don't think you guys need any more recommendations than that, but you're welcome to look at the recorded webinar about it if you would like. The recorders will remain active and key members of the Electronic Systems Coordinating Committee. I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of history about it. By the end of this year, 22 million records will be public record on the Iowa Land Records site. That's huge.
Wow.
Locally, we are getting about half of our records filed electronically as opposed to in the mail or over the counter. And we really like that. It saves on our postage, saves on our envelopes. Other states look at Iowa as kind of the gold star and a great example of how well electronic filing can work. So I recommend you sign that, and if you have any questions, let me know. But pretty straightforward, really. Keeps them from having to file, they were having to file how it was structured before, 2 taxes in 2 different categories, and I don't know, this is just kind of cleaning everything up.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks, Diane.
Was
Do we need to make a
this an
motion
item?
on that?
I think we do.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
It's going out to all
Approve the
99
amendment.
all 99 counties. It only needs a simple majority. I'm expecting that all 99 will probably approve it. I mean, it's been very well campaigned and there's information out there, so.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Diane.
Okay.
So I'll make the motion to approve an amendment to the 2080 agreement with Electronic Services System, ESS.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we have the 21-22 weed commissioners report. Or certification, I shouldn't say report, but it's basically rehire them for the next year. There's a
Okay, it is.
report.
Just a report,
There's the report.
basically
Certified
shows what
Eric
he's
has
done.
signed it, I see. So a spot for me to sign on here. I think it's just stating all what he has done through the year.
Gives a report as to what was done, how it was spent,
Dollars, how many,
how much chemical
yeah.
they used.
Yeah.
It is a very interesting report, Alex. This would be some good radio equipment here right now. If you want a copy, I'll let you have mine.
Motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second on the weed commissioner's report. Any more discussion on it?
Some of them weeds I never even heard of.
That's probably the official name for it, we probably call it something else. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Usually when Don shows up, it's cold, snowing, and he gets to run through here looking for next year's work, so.
Okay, now we have approval of the resignation of our civil deputy Ashley Hefty as of 10/19.
So Sheriff Kruger asked for me to come up today. Yes, so we initially hired Ashley back, I think her first day was August 30th, and she was originally worked in healthcare. And I think she took our job and worked for a few months and realized that was her home, was healthcare. So she ended up resigning, effective, as we said, on October 19th. And so after some discussion with Sheriff Kruger, we had an internal candidate who had originally applied, and that's Jenny Wykoff. She was worked back in the jail, and she already had some experience with doing e-filing and some of the stuff, knew the dynamics of the office and stuff, so it made for a quick, easy decision. So Ashley resigned, her last day was the 19th, and Jenny's first official day taking the position was the 21st. Just kind of as a reminder, Jean Moss is retiring. I thought she was working until through the end of the year, but apparently she hopes to be done by November 30th.
Oh, okay.
Saved up vacation and stuff through the month of December, so we were kind of under a time crunch, trying to get the new person up and going and have sufficient time that she could train underneath Jean to understand the job and make sure, we had a good base underneath her, so it made the most sense to just promote within and get going as quick as we could, so we had a good 5.5 weeks of training before Jean's done, so basically, we're just here, again, just asking for the acceptance of Ashley's resignation and to approve the appointment of Jenny Wykoff to take the new civil deputy position, and have that prorated back to the 21st of October.
Okay, well, I'll look for a, motion for Ashley Hefty's resignation.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
The first and the second, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We wanna thank Ashley for her time she did spend, and you gotta do what's right for you, I guess.
Well, we also appreciate she's going back to the job that she enjoys,
Staying here, so.
yeah, so
All
I
right.
would make the motion for appointing Jennifer Wykoff as civil deputy.
I'll second.
First and second, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Hold on just a second, Sheriff, there was something specific the sheriff wanted to make sure that was in
the motion.
in the motion. And I,
The code?
yeah, to accept.
For the correction part, correction officer.
Yeah, there was something to do with, he wanted it to say specifically that to accept the promotion of Jenny Wykoff to civil deputy per Iowa code. I'm not sure what that means, but he said he wanted to make sure that was specifically stated.
Do you wanna correct your?
I will make a correction then, that,
Sorry.
That's okay.
well, I jumped in before, I thought I'd just read it off but I would make a motion. Well, do I need to rescind my first motion? I'm
Probably
assuming.
we should.
I will rescind my first motion.
I'll second that.
You gotta rescind your second.
I'll rescind my second.
Then we have to vote on it, right?
So now we have a motion from Bruce for the civil deputy for pursuant to Iowa Code 331.652 B.
It's my understanding that mostly pertains to with having that specifically stated, that if people have civil papers that need to be served upon them, and if they come into the office, rather than pulling us off the road to come in and actually personally serve it, that it gives her the authorization that she can serve the paper herself, and that it would be
Yeah.
legally standing. That's
Okay.
my understanding of it, so.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You wanna put Iowa Code 331?
I added that to that.
Okay.
Are we voting on the rescinding part, or are we voting on
No.
the new
On the
motion?
new one.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
So.
A long way around to get there, but...
Yeah, I'm sorry, it was my fault.
Dean actually called me too, he said make sure you have that in there.
So obviously Jenny, we're taking her out of the jail, and so I put an ad in the paper for a jailer position, so obviously we need to fill her spot in the jail, so that'll be forthcoming here in the next couple of weeks.
So you'll be back?
Yeah.
Well, we'd like to see you.
Pretty good applicants from the last time you applied for the
Yeah,
jail.
yeah, we got some new people, and we had some previous ones, so.
Okay, good. All righty.
Good.
Well, that kinda wraps up our agenda items.
I told her you guys would drill her pretty hard, so if there's anything you wanted to ask her,
Ah.
please feel free to make her feel uncomfortable.
I think we're pretty easy.
Did you ride up with him, or?
Oh.
Oh, my goodness. In his new pickup?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, Cory,
I might just throw the tonneau cover up, she's right in the back of the car.
now listen, don't get us in trouble.
Yeah, that's like, what are you doing?
Okay.
Well, we appreciate you very much.
Yep.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
All righty, so that wraps up the agenda items, so we'll do community reports.
Okay. I had, Tuesday night, I had my UDMO, monthly meeting, Zoom. Then Thursday, excuse me, we started out, we had, CFR, Zoom meeting at 5:00, and then ran down to the dam meeting, walked around and talked and visited with several people down there. Then I ran back home and got back on the Zoom call for the CFR. I guess everything is good with CFR, the dam meeting, and I'm just going by numbers that Alex reported or that was on the radio the next morning, was like 180 to, it was what I consider more people than I thought we'd ever get. I figured we'd be lucky to draw up 50 people.
That's great.
But I thought, numbers-wise, it was a good group. There was a lot of interest in all of the different, material that they handled. And I think that the board, the Conservation Board did an awesome job putting this brochure together. And it's done nothing but stir a lot of visiting. Even heard something yesterday at church that, someone had made a comment about it. So there is people, has caused them to talk about it, so I think it'll get a lot of things going. I was very impressed, so I guess with that, I'll shut up.
Well, good, okay. On the 26th, I had a Zoom meeting for ISAC Education Committee. Again, that's going over the different, educational things, the universities and things like that we have for ISAC for our meetings. We've got some really good ones coming up. January, I really encourage everybody to go. That's a leadership one. It's basically all on leadership, and then, of course, then there's the, that's the 2-day one, and there's the 1-day, Board of Supervisors one we get some. But anyway, there's some very good meetings. We're gonna be doing some more on ARP, because that's a big question for all of the counties. There's just, everybody's just really concerned. They wanna make sure that they're doing the right thing, and that we're following it. So, and then there's another one in March that we're working on that.
What's the dates in that January
I
one?
wanna say, isn't it the 20th?
1920 or?
1920 or 2021, it's 2 days.
Yeah, it's a 2-day one. Yeah, January 19th.
So it's
Wednesday,
Thursday.
the Wednesday, Thursday. It's at the Sheraton, West Des Moines. But that's really, we've got some really good, educational things on leadership and things like that, and it sounds really good.
Good.
Okay, and then, Wednesday was interesting. I had a webinar on cybersecurity, and it was interesting, but it was a little scary too. So they really talked a lot about counties having IT, and I know we're thinking about that, you know, possibly hiring an IT person, and the group that you were talking about with, through ISAC, that they come and they, I can't remember, okay, I thought you had, yeah, the 8th, okay, but anyway, they sound like they're a great resource, and, the counties that were on and talked about, the ones that have had hired IT, they're all very happy, they're very glad they've done it, that they've actually saved them money, so I think it's something we probably really need to really look at and really research, that it's gonna cost us, but in this day and age with all this, cybersecurity...
You don't have good, it costs you too.
Yeah, it does. I mean, there's just...
Security sports.
Yeah, there's just so many things that they can come in and hack with us and hold us hostage, basically, so if we have someone good, and they'll actually help you, they'll be with the, they talked about, because one of the guys said that they'll be there with the interview process and everything. I mean, they'll help you through the whole thing. So that sounds really, because how many of us really know that much about it? You know, the intricate things of what we need for IT. I mean, we're a jack of all trades, is what we are. And, so I thought it was a really good, and I'm glad I participated in it. That's it, that's all I got.
Okay. Tuesday the 26th, I had a VA meeting, approved claims down in Humboldt. Everything's going good, we're a little over budget because of the funeral, but, we budget for the funeral, so. On Wednesday, I had a Midas meeting in Fort Dodge. Shirley Hegewald is the executive director, I'm back there again, or now. They changed it back from Pathfinders to Midas, which I reported last time.
Yep.
Everything seems to be going fairly smooth. Thursday, I went down to the dam meeting, and option number 4 is not on there. I spoke with the engineer, I didn't get to talk with the DNR, but, I suggested leaving the dam alone, fixing the gates and dredging. If it goes out, then we'll think about putting more rock in or whatever. Leave it alone for now and let it deteriorate on its own. That'd be a lot cheaper than what we've spent on it. Anyway, I left there at 6 o'clock, had a Board of Adjustment meeting. One of our first things is gonna try to get a zoning map that's clear, and, he had some prices on different stuff, what it would cost. He had, I put it up here for safety. Had ordinance 66 we discussed, and, we'll discuss some other stuff. Let me find the cost here. Randy has been talking with, Midas down there. That will be the last page. Change. Yeah, I don't find it offhand here. Anyway, it was gonna cost us like over $6,000 for getting the mapping system and, getting the ordinance changed and stuff by using Midas, and Randy was gonna try to get another price from a couple other outfits to see what it would cost to get all of it done. Then on, Friday morning, the 29th, I had a Board of Health meeting, and, here's the sheet that I passed around for the, Health Department we share with them at Pocahontas. And it's got the first quarter through the fourth quarter, but you gotta start on the second. But last quarter, he had 14 water tests for us and 6 well plugs from 7/1 to 9/30. So, he seems to be doing a pretty good job, so there's a report there. That's about it.
Okay. The only thing I had was I attended the dam meeting down there, and like Bruce, I was impressed with the amount of people that showed up. There's a lot of interest in it. Thought the diagrams they have are pretty easy to understand, and it'll, like you say, it stirs the conversation, and we'll see where that leads.
What do you think the overall, between you two, since I wasn't able to be there, what do you think the overall consensus was with everybody there? Was it a little bit of everything?
Well, probably the people I talked, the majority of them were, make it, alternative number 1, I think it was, the one that was just about $15 million.
Mhm.
But then they always ask, well, who's gonna pay for it?
Mm-hmm. It'd have to go to a bond, wouldn't it?
Right, have to go to a bond, and the taxpayers have to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of opposition about that.
Mhm. That's the issue, is how do you pay for it?
Mm-hmm.
And, it's a good time to borrow money, 'cause it's cheap.
Right.
But it also, you still gotta pay it back, but also, like, I was talking with another guy who's part of the drainage district, he says, we just cleaned my ditch that we cleaned the silt out from the last 20 years. He says, we do it every 20 years, 20 to 30 years, and we pay for it. So if you look at it that way, part of maintenance.
Well, the other side of the coin is how much have we paid towards it in the last 100 years?
I don't know, 100 years, but
Well, I'm just talking to the dam.
Haven't done anything. They've done a lot of maintenance to it over the years, according to paper I read, since they've rebuilt it several times.
We've rebuilt it, but I guess my question is we haven't done anything that I know of with any of the problem of the dirt coming
No.
down,
No.
just overall maintenance of the river. And our property, which I have property that I live on, butts up against the west fork of the river, as does Brett. I'm not allowed to go out and do anything to the dam, or to the shoreline. I can't change it. The only thing that we can do is if there's erosion, you have the ability to stop the erosion. But if you're going to do something, we have to go through the DNR, we have to do all of the steps, and that's the point. Make sure that all this stuff, and that's why they got this engineer here, and they give us the options, and nobody's trying to sneak something through. I've heard that, we're gonna fix, the people that live out there's backyard problems. Well, it isn't our problem, it's the state. The state owns the river. They will clearly tell you that. But if you let it go, you know, the fishing and the canoeing and whatever else they do on it is, you can go down to Fort Dodge and look at that, what they've got down there, that's a mess.
It is,
And I don't want it to end up like that.
yeah.
So, I guess I'm willing to at least listen to the options and see where it leads us, if nothing else.
I'm sure this organization is gonna send out probably another survey and get opinions from
Mhm.
the people who have attended and probably the ones who didn't attend, you know, again, to give them get a survey as to what the public thinks, what the options are, and, or what they think the best option is. And hopefully the conservationist department will come to us with a recommendation, and we'll go from there.
Well, I think that's the point where hopefully the people are going to fill out I thought on the email that Mimi sent that said they would be, some more questionnaire,
Mhm.
see where it leads us, and then I suppose they'll go to the Conservation Board and let them know what those results are, and then they'll come with a recommendation to us and try to figure out how and where we're going, so.
Mhm. Sounds good.
Can I speak?
Yeah, sure, Brett.
Sorry I'm not on the agenda and got here late. I had my, brother, and I'm like Dave, you know, it's a really cool deal what they drew up and stuff. We spent so much money on all this drawings and engineering. Thank you guys for running the conservation meeting and, you know, proving it to keep moving forward. I got some questions, and I'd like to have a meeting with the Conservation Board and some of you guys. I think they threw everything with the kitchen sink into that proposal.
Yeah,
I'm like Dave, I don't think we need that.
It's pretty fancy.
Yeah, they're gonna cut the dam down, after I got talked to the engineer, they're gonna cut the dam down and then add boards back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm really worried about the liability. I mean, I've said at the last couple meetings that if we put a slope of rock, rocks behind it to get rid of the turbulence and the undertow, to get rid of that safety issue. But if you look at that number one drawing, they had a high flow and a low flow of water. And I'm really concerned, when that water gets that high, they're gonna cut the dam down, and in the middle, on proposal number one, it had a high water chute for rafting. Well, that water could at times be 2 or 3 foot over the top of that. It's gonna go over the boards as well. We're gonna have a liability of somebody going over the top of one of the boards and really getting tumbled. I don't think they understand how high the river gets sometimes in the spring. I'm really nervous about that.
Well, they've seen it at probably its worst time.
Yeah.
I mean, when they've been out here observing it the last year.
Yeah, so I'm very nervous about that proposal for that reason, that I think that we could have some liability issues when the gates are up. You know, if they wanna close off for high water, put new gates on, and then all the water flow down the middle, and then there'd be a chute, kayak and canoe through. I still think it's gonna be, that dam's gonna be back to the height it is now. Well, I've seen in the spring where there's 2, 3 foot of water going on the top of that. Somebody in a kayak or canoe or something's gonna shoot over one of those boards, and we're just asking for trouble.
Well, when the water's that high, it's almost like it's just straight across.
It is.
The water level on the other side,
So
south side.
I'm like Dave, and I talked to Gordy Kirkhoff, he's very involved with this too. It's about our quality of life, like Liz was talking about earlier. This is what's gonna help bring people back to Humboldt. It's not for, like Bruce said, I'm not doing this just for the people on the river, I wanna do it for our quality of life.
Definitely.
But how far downstream are they gonna kayak? No water, you couldn't get 100 feet, 100 yards down,
Yeah.
you know, so...
And the other thing that they proposed, and I had my brother Jeff out to Yacht Club, just pass that around, it shows the gates, it shows the Humboldt gates, where we have sliding gates go up and down. They're still just putting those same gates back in, they're just rebuilding them. What I asked for at the conservation meeting was the Tanner gates like in Rutland. I just want what they have in Rutland. Those gates cost $350,000 when they did Rutland. You know, I don't know how long ago that was, probably 14, 15 years ago. So it might cost $1 million today. But I'm like Dave, put the gates like they put in Rutland. Gordy Kirkhoff he's taking some sand out. I talked to the DNR guy and said, if we just ask permission, we can pull those trees out, and Blacktop Services may be interested in digging all that sand out of there. And that's way cheaper than, you know, they'll take it for free.
I'm sure concrete companies would too, that
Yeah.
cleans.
There's an issue with the fines that aren't in it, and it's too granular, but they can use it for compaction underneath the road and not in asphalt mix.
Oh, okay.
So Gordy got them a sample, we're gonna look at it, and see what they can do with it. And the dredging, you know, all this stuff came from Rutland, basically. I mean,
it come from upstream.
Yeah, they didn't dredge it over the dam or pipe it down to us, it came through their gates, and that's why I'm saying, if we put the same gates that we have in Rutland, put the new flash boards, that somebody doesn't have to go out and put boards on the dam, not cut the dam down like they wanna propose, and then build it back up. Let's just, like Dave said, put new, I still think we can do that, put new gates in like Rutland, put some new flash boards in, and then probably put some rock behind it, and then the kayaking starts below it. I think you're just asking for trouble. You're gonna put kayakers, canoes above that dam, at any, they said it had to be a 5% or less slope. You're just looking for trouble. I just think it's just too risky on high water. And then, you know, make a place down below it that they can access the river and start canoeing and kayaking down there. I mean, I want them to be able to do it, but
Right.
I just...
Most of us aren't whitewater rafters that go to Colorado every
And I talked to a guy, and he gave me the name of the company that makes the gates. I asked him, what would you charge us to be a consultant to get this done? He owns he created the turbines and owns the power at Nashua, Green, and 6 other dams. He built the turbines and everything. I just happened to meet him in Nashua. I was just going by to take some pictures. And I spent 2 hours with him. I learned more about dams in 2 hours. He's got all the equipment to do this stuff, but he's my age. He said, I'm not taking on another project like that. But I said, would you be a consultant? Just to take us down the right path without spending $1 gazillion. So I'm like Dave. I think we can put new gates in like Rutland, put new boards on it. Maybe we have to support it down below. If we do, that's good long-term life of the dam. It's gonna add long-term life and get rid of the risk down below it.
Yeah, I think you definitely have to put some rocks behind it to
Yeah.
make it stay.
Well, I don't get rid of the undertow. You know, that gets rid of that liability. And like Gordy Kirkhoff said, why are we taking, and Gary Jensen, why are we taking out those pilings in the middle? They're gonna be there forever. You know, why are we taking all that stuff out? That's where you spend all the money. And I still propose putting the gates in and see if we can flush out. If we have to dredge it, 3 years down the road, we have to dredge it. And then we talk about money. I was on the phone for an hour here about 3 weeks ago with the President of the Senate, and he said there's leftover COVID money that the state didn't use. So Brett, we can get that to you real quick. I told you guys that from day one. I've been talking to several politicians for years. And it's because it's a regional thing, if we do, it's a big enough project, and it's a regional thing, not just a local $2 million issue. If it's a $2 million local issue, they can't come in. But if it's a big enough issue and we're doing it for a region, then they can come in. And, well, Jack Whitford, he just told me, hey, I think we can get you the money. So what I'd like to do to keep the ball rolling is say, all right, let's go refigure this a little bit. Do what Dave or, you know, get a consensus of what everybody wants to do. And probably do it for half or less, and I still am very comfortable we get a majority of that from the state. Because they set the precedent by doing Delhi. Delhi is a private lake.
Private dam.
And the state fixed it. So, without doing bond issues and everything else, I'd be shocked if we couldn't get most of this money from the state right now.
I know there's a
And
ton of money.
I've been told by more than one politician at the state level. So, I don't know how to proceed, but I'd love to move forward with just one more meeting, say, what's the consensus? Because, like everybody said, and Bob Rasmussen was even in shock, it was over 90% of the people were there easily wanting to keep the dam in the state it is,
That was my opinion, that the majority wanted to keep the dam in some form. They don't want to get rid of it.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I couldn't figure out what that drawing kept showing the pool of water above the dam was 6 foot. It's like, wait a minute, the Corps of Engineers studied that, it's 13 foot deep below that dam.
Well, they're only gonna dredge it that deep.
Well, they're shaving off the dam.
And then putting them gates in.
So if we only have, according to their deal, if we only have a 6 foot pool to start with, we're always gonna have issues with that filling right back in again.
Mm-hmm.
And if we suck, with those Taylor gates, and they did, one thing I really liked, they had a tube they were putting underneath the gates when they were rebuilding them. So it'll suck and be safe, it'll suck all the way from the bottom, and if we can control that, it'll always suck and drain, just like a big tile,
Yeah.
and go underneath it. I did like that, that was a great idea.
Mhm.
While you got the gate out and you're doing it, so. I don't know,
Mhm.
I just wanted to stop and see what we can do to keep the ball rolling, or if anybody's interested in meeting with the conservation board and 3 or 4 other people. I don't want 10 million ideas, I don't wanna get this thing, one more study and one more, my wife put this on,
Well, to keep it a regional thing, are you still thinking that we need to involve the trail system, hooking it into Fort Dodge to make it a regional?
I'd like to, 'cause they're moving to Badger, I mean, they're
Yeah.
building that to Badger right now.
Mhm.
And Todd Lee's been talking to some people about how to make this loop. I mean,
That would make it more of a regional project if you lumped it all together.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd love to incorporate that and go after all of it. Like I said, we got the campgrounds, we got the bridges, that's the big expense.
Yeah.
The bridges, I mean, I counted there's 7 bridges, you just take for granted, like the bridge over by the Dakota City Park, not just the ones on the river, but all the bridges that are in place, that's a big expense.
It is.
And they're all in place, we'd have the neatest bike trail, I mean, and they hook them up to campgrounds, and so,
Well,
anyway.
that's the other thing, that people go all over, they go over to the Decoras and they travel over to do it, and we've got we don't have it all, but we have a majority in place, and now we just gotta finish buttoning it up and make it
Right.
workable.
Well, I've got a friend that lives in Decorah, and you bring that up, but through COVID, their motels, and everything was packed, they were packed because they got so many activities over there.
Right.
We don't have a small college in our town and stuff, but if we had hiking and camping and boating and stuff, just the amount of people it brings to your community is unbelievable.
Right.
So, I don't know, you guys can talk about it, but I'd like to keep the ball rolling and come up with, maybe tweak that last plan, like Dave
Like I
said, that plan.
said, these were the first thing they throw at the wall, to get people talking, to spur ideas. And they did have that board up there for comments and ideas, I don't know if you looked at that.
There was half a dozen when I left.
Yeah.
Of someone put stuff up there.
Thoughts?
And I guess, in my opinion, I think we have to involve Todd, so that cause he's dealing more with the engineer group than any of us are.
Oh, absolutely. But I just like to trim it down a little bit, or tweak it a little bit,
Yeah.
and then get some bids, and like I say, I got this guy from Wisconsin, he knows more about dams than anybody I've known. And like I said, he knows the manufacturers, knows all these people, the people that would come in and put the gates. We could spend a little money and let him be the consultant for the project and be probably money way ahead,
Right.
Because then you're just cutting out a middleman, and so, I don't know, thank you.
Well, we
Thanks for
appreciate
coming.
your
Yep.
willingness to keep
Yeah.
after it.
So if you guys have the time, or, I was gonna go talk to Todd Lee, and
Yeah,
we have to keep them involved, or we need to.
Right.
Well, yeah,
We
we
need
do.
everybody.
No, I think we're more than willing to meet anytime, anywhere.
I would agree.
We need to come up with
Yeah.
a good solution to this problem, something that we can afford, and it takes,
The only thing we need, Brett, is to make sure that it's all legal, because the minute we have a meeting and more than 3 of us are together,
Oh, absolutely.
it has to be an open meeting, so it has to be
Right.
published that, the supervisors are meeting with the conservation board, and anybody, it's an open meeting, so.
Yeah, no,
And I'm just saying that so that you don't think, well, we're blowing,
no.
we've pushed you out the door today, and if we're gonna do it, Trish has to publish it, so that we're not in anybody's doghouse,
I was
so.
super pleased with your last meeting with the conservation board, and they loved it too, that you guys all showed up, got on the same page.
I think
So if you guys
that,
could
It
set
helps,
another
it
meeting-
helps, yeah.
Oh, gosh, yes.
somebody started asking me about the engineering and what they'd done, and I looked at them, and I says, listen, I drive truck. I didn't take any engineering classes, so if you have questions to them, you need to talk, I'm as
Yeah.
far out in left field as everybody.
Everybody else, yeah.
And we're all here to, and I think that's the whole thing, we're trying to gather information and see what's best. I just don't wanna see us go and knock the dam out, and we got a mess down where our river's gone.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's what this guy told me from Wisconsin. don't let them take your dam down, you'll never get it back.
Yeah.
And it's still, the river is still our biggest asset, our most unique asset for our community.
Yep.
Like Melissa was talking about tooting our own horn, you know, with our campgrounds we got, and if we get this bike trail, we get the river fixed, I'm telling you.
Well, we take it for
We got a
granted,
great,
because we've been here.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why I'm on a mission to fix it, it's not because I
Yep.
live there, you
Well,
know.
That's good.
we been sitting out in our backyard, and Larry and Loretta were sitting there one day, and Larry looked at me and he says, you know what, people pay a lot of money to sit and just watch the river flow by and to hear the birds and hear...
Mhm.
He said, people, they love this,
Oh.
and we can do this every day. I said, I know, it's just unbelievable, so...
Yeah.
All right, well, if you guys can set up a meeting with them, or do what you have to do, and you get 3 or 4 of the people there to
Perfect.
get a general consensus, I'd appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sorry.
You're all right.
You're good, Brett, you're good.
Have a good
Rick was on pace to be one of the fastest meetings this year, and we blew that out the window.
That's all right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brett.
Okay.
I found that cost on that. The comprehensive plan was $6,250. We have to have that first before we can do anything on the ordinance. Zoning ordinances was $1,500, and zoning maps is $200 to $300. It's estimated price from,
So you got the
Mike
plan is
down
the
there.
part that costs you a bunch of money, isn't it?
Right, the comprehensive plan is the one that costs. And we
But it
haven't
needs to
done
be
one...
updated.
Yeah, 95 was the last one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the last time you reported on it, it was,
And if you look at the maps, they're just kind of fuzzy things, you really don't know.
Yeah, you don't know when it gets close to the city what the zoning is.
Not very defined.
well, I think that needs to be moved forward.
Mhm. I agree.
And on the health board, the hospital will be coming in asking for more money. And I didn't report on that, but, where'd my paper go? COVID. Right now, they're getting 7 to 8 people per day coming in with COVID. They're averaging 4 people every night at the hospital with COVID. You discharge one, you get another one in, and she says it's averaging about 4 a night. And, they have, full-time corporate health nurse position was filled by Stacy Miller, and the, interpreter they're gonna put in for, and then, they've resigned, so we need another interpreter. And the home aide resigned last Monday, so they're gonna be looking for another in-home aide,
Okay.
so. She said to give you a heads up that they're gonna be asking for more money, like everybody else wants more money.
Thanks, Dave, for that report. You have anything else for us, Trish?
I think I put in, there was from Amy Simpson on Elder Bridge. She wanted to know if giving you the information is sufficient for...
Rather than coming here,
Mhm.
personally, I think that'd be fine.
Okay.
That's fine with everyone. Okay.
Mhm.
Either give us the information, or can she join us
By
on Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever works for her.
and then, or by Zoom.
I should put that on, next meeting.
Um, Yeah, if we approve this one, then put it on next week.
Oh, this is for our flex spending account that we were discussing earlier.
That is, according to the papers, for the 8th, is that gonna be on there then, or is that what you're asking?
That's what I don't, do we have to approve it or what?
Well, it has to be signed, I just don't know if it goes, I wasn't sure if it got approved through the court, or...
I think we offer it, and
Yeah.
and these are the people who signed up for it, and we just signature saying, yes, there are employees, and they are...
Because it's in our,
Okay.
it's in our, pay stub. If you want it, you have to notify,
Your employer by such and such a day.
Pam and let her know so that they can start pulling it out of withholding, I suppose. But Sandy can, and Eric and Rick can do it, but if I don't wanna do it, I'm not obligated to do it.
No, you don't have to, no, you can,
So
it's like it says, cafeteria, you can
Yeah.
choose to do it or not do it.
I won't be doing it.
It's gotta be back to them by the 15th of December. And our maximum is $27.50 that you can pull out of your paycheck. He said it might go up to $28.50, but it hasn't been confirmed yet.
Right.
Well, I'm sure it'll take a while to get through secondary roads and all of the people in the courthouse, so.
Did you know you can write off 16 cents a mile for your doctor trips?
Now, where'd you see that at?
Your current medical mileage limit is 16 cents a mile. I wonder why they even have that. Mine for 56 or 55 or whatever it typically is.
What page is that on?
That's just on the front of this thing here.
Oh, it's a different one? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was like, I've never seen that.
Who would keep
I
track of
didn't know that.
16 cents a mile on,
I know.
unless you're going
A long
a long way?
Yeah, Iowa City, or,
Other than that,
'cause I saw some people that, got treatments that go.
Yeah, maybe run up to...
Mayo or something.
Huh.
Iowa City, like you say.
Well, if there's
Okay.
nothing else,
I'm open.
I'll make a motion to adjourn if we're done.
Second.
Third.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned.